guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing another movie review for you all. This movie is a horror film from New Zealand, English language, released in the year 2025, directed by David Ashcroft, and this film is called The Rule of Jenny Penn. So The Rule of Jenny Penn is about a judge. He's very well respected, but then one day he collapses on the job and he's told that he's had a stroke. So he's confined to a wheelchair, and against his wishes he's taken to a nursing home. So in this nursing home he has to try and get used to his new surroundings. He befriends another resident who actually tells him that there's a psychopathic resident that's terrorising everyone else with a hand puppet named Jenny Penn. So it's clear that this man's very unhinged, and now he has got the main character in his sights. So no one believes this main character. They think that the complaints are stemming from his stroke. He's making things up and he just doesn't know it yet. And so the more he complains, the more restraints are being put upon him and the more freedom that this psycho is having. And so he realises that it's going to be down to him and his friend in order to fight back against this evil and finally rid the residency of all this torment. So whether or not he can is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on The Rule of Jenny Penn. I was very excited for this film for two reasons. Number one, David Ashcroft is a fantastic director. He directed a movie called Coming Home in the Dark that I reviewed a while ago. If you want more detailed thoughts on that film, please go out there and see that review. But that was a fantastic, very, very dark and harrowing film. So coming into The Rule of Jenny Penn, I was wondering what his follow-up film was going to be like. And so was it going to be something similar of a very dark nature to Coming Home in the Dark? When I saw the trailer, I thought it definitely does look like a very dark film. But taking place in a nursing home, a movie about bullying, I thought, all right, this really hasn't been done before. And so having David Ashcroft with a different sort of story, I thought that was very exciting. That excitement was intensified when I realised that Geoffrey Rush plays the main character and the arch nemesis is played by John Lithgow. And so having two household names combined with a really good underrated director, I thought this is going to be a fantastic movie. And after watching The Rule of Jenny Penn, although it wasn't fantastic, it was still incredibly riveting, and it was a very harrowing experience. The disturbing qualities that he has in Coming Home in the Dark is definitely present in this movie. This is a psychologically tormenting horror slash drama about the effects of bullying, whether it's in a nursing home, whether it's at school, whether it's in the sport team, anywhere that you've ever experienced bullying, you can really relate to this. And so the main character is confined to this wheelchair. He isn't unable to defend himself. And this psychopathic character, he's going around at will. Basically, he feels as though he owns this whole residency and he can do whatever he wants, and that is a terrifying thought. So the whole film has that really dark vibe. Straight from the very first scene, I thought, all right, this is going to be another David Ashcroft experience. The movie does have a very shocking scene at the start that really sets the template for what you're actually going to go through. And the longer this movie goes on, the darker and darker it gets, because when you realise what this psychotic character is doing, it is absolutely harrowing. And so it does have a very strong sort of sexual nature. There's sexual violence in this movie that I thought was really cringeworthy, and I thought, all right, well, this is deeply shocking. And that's exactly what I got from Coming Home in the Dark. That was a deeply shocking movie, and there were some scenes that really took me by surprise. And there are some scenes in this movie that is going to really take you by surprise as well. And so it is an unpredictable kind of feeling that you get in a David Ashcroft film, and that is present in this movie. So the whole nursing home residency, I thought, played a character of its own. You know, all these people, either they've lost their mind, you know, dementia, Alzheimer's, you know, all the horrible things that happen to us when we get older is present in this movie. And so that plays a separate character, and it really feeds off the psychopathic character, because the workers there, they don't believe these complaints. And so as the more freedom that this psycho has, the more harrowing the situation has become for this main character. So I thought that was absolutely fantastic. The exchange between good guy and bad guy I thought was fascinating. But the real reason that this movie succeeds is the acting performances from Geoffrey Rush and John Lithgow, especially John Lithgow as this psycho. He was incredibly unsettling. He was a really creepy individual. The things that he did to other residents I thought were really, really unnecessary, but it just showed the mindset of this man. And there are clues as to his upbringing and what he actually did in the past that suggest that maybe he hasn't completely lost his mind due to old age. Maybe he had always lost his mind, and so maybe he had always been that psycho and he'd never been held accountable for what he was doing. And so I thought his character was phenomenal. It was just really, really creepy. Some of the acting that John Lithgow produces I thought was fantastic, and it just really sets up that incredibly unnerving and scary ride. So Geoffrey Rush does a very good job as the main character, but he definitely plays second fiddle to the psychopath. And so if you expect good performances from Geoffrey Rush and John Lithgow, you're definitely going to get that, because the script enables The script enables these characters to really blossom in a way that showcases the talents of these two fantastic actors. David Ashcroft really works well with them, and I just thought as though it was a riveting ride. I just really liked the way that this movie went about its business, and right at the end I thought, okay, well, that was definitely a movie that wasn't as good as Coming Home in the Dark, but it was still definitely worthy of a watch. If I had issues with this movie, I thought there were some really unbelievable moments. You know, the way that this psychopath, you know, was going about his business, I thought, in reality, surely someone would have picked that up. And so you do have to have a suspension of disbelief in some regard. I thought as though, all right, there's moments that is incredibly haunting and relatable, but there are other moments that are really silly and kind of you can disconnect yourself from the situation and how it's transpiring, because you know that the movie is choosing these silly situations and silly outcomes because the movie needs to progress. If it was very sensible sort of choices and, you know, realistic behaviours, then this movie would have only been about 10 minutes. And so you have to make those allowances to actually get to a feature film. But that's not a major problem in what was a really unnerving experience. As I said, John Lithgow really steals the show as the psycho. If it sounds like your kind of thing, go out there and see it. Movies with creative ideas are few and far between, and David Ashcroft has delivered another very interesting experience. And so overall, for The Rule of Jenny Penn, going to give this one 3.5 stars. Go out there and see it. I really liked it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later. Bye.